You guys, welcome back to Network Effect here on Hxro Labs. I'm here with Gunny on my left.
Hello.
My name is RT, go by @randomtask555 on Twitter. And this is the Network Effect. We're here to talk about everything that's going on in the Hxro network right now. Multiple dApps already live, volumes growing, liquidity increasing week over week, month over month. And there are some coming up that I'd like to poke around and see if I can get Gunny to release some of the goods. And there's a community update released on January 31st that did a lot of good in terms of sharing what the latest and most important stuff is. So we'll touch on that high level, but mostly I want to talk about, first of all, Asia max bidding. This market looks good. Second of all, I want to talk to Gunny and pick his brain about liquidity incentives, rewards,
Sure.
Things that are going to draw in those who we know will benefit from the things that are going on over here.
Hxro liquidity formation.
Yeah, Hxro liquidity formation. So with that, I should start off with, how are you? What's going on, Gunny? It's been a long time.
I know it's been too long. When we're talking like every day, and then like you actually don't see each other.
The last time you and I were live together, FTX went out of business.
and I stopped mid sentence and
you were like, hold on a sec.
I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Real, I gotta go.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I had a sick P&L going, and it was all fun money.
A day that will live in infamy.
Yeah.
I've been doing good. I've been doing really well, and we've been cranking, since the turn of the year, and just set some really good goals for Q1. Heavily revolved around like developer documentation and just polishing up all the things that we need to do to really open up these pipes for engineers around the community to get in, for teams that are going to be hosting GUIs on top of Hxro Network, for derivatives and for pari-mutuels, and lots of tentacles there going on right now, which is exciting. Just got back from a couple days in the Bahamas. I was there for a couple of meetings and for our Hxro Foundation annual board meeting. So kicking the year off right. And we were talking before, when I was flying in, the first thing that I kind of saw when we got over Nassau was the Albany complex to the right, and I had just images of like BitBoy and stalking it, and
running around in the parking lot with a cell phone.
Smelly dorm room style $40 million penthouse condos, and it was really kind of a sick feeling for a moment. And then when I landed, like the plane was like remarkably quiet, and some guy like three rows in front of me really loud said, "Wait, is this the island that FTX was on?" And I'm like, fuck. And as I was telling you, like when I got off the plane, I had this moment of feeling like I had like crypto bro written, like tattooed on my fucking forehead.
Yeah.
And everybody giving me the stank eye, but I think that was more of like my own internal dialogue and psychological. But it's it really is a great place to be doing business in spite of everything that happened. And I really hope that over time there'll be some decay of the attitude on crypto there, which I think will happen.
I hope so.
It's such a great spot. And,
there's still a lot of big companies setting up there. I mean, it's still exactly what it was, which is friendly, welcoming, close to Miami, right off the coast. Yeah. I loved it there. I went down, as you guys know, for FTX Bahamas last year. I had plans to go again this year. And I met, I got a buddy down there. I still text, like he's living down there, he's working, and we hung out a lot. And so, yeah.
It was good. There's some teams down there that from some big firms and some of their offshoots, like kind of disaffiliated companies, and just there's a community down there, and I think it's important that the good actors maintain a presence, and I think over time it'll help heal some of the wounds that happened there. But that was a great trip. Came back really excited to continue to start jamming here, and fucking market is supporting the attitude right now. So
dude, pull up this. I know it's not a chart show, but I gotta drop this Bitcoin chart. It's a long shot. I know a lot of people look at this, they say that's crazy. I don't think it's crazy. I think it's crazier to be too sure that it can't happen. Aside from
42?
targets, yeah, like pie in the sky. Aside from targets, just looking at what's going on right now is so exciting. I mean, to have this nice rally, which we saw, and then kind of give yourself a 382, and now break out above it, retest it, and now we're just chilling. And if you look right, there's this void of liquidity here. Like there's just, and I noticed another guy on Twitter was pointing out that it's never traded in this range for very long. As you can see here, over here, like it always just cuts straight through. So what's happening right now is there is narrative around sort of Asia max bidding. That's kind of a shift that we're seeing in the wake of Hong Kong talking about legalizing crypto for retail crypto trading for retail users. Now, this is actually not new news. This is from October, some of the earliest reports I saw on Bloomberg and stuff. And it's just, for whatever reason, it's picking up steam now. And I think that's something that's looking at like June. And so my thesis around having a really strong spring rally, all this circle represents is where price might bounce to according to like Gann's physics and vibrational signatures. And we've seen it happen a lot before. And it's right about the point where I think even the most staunchest of bears would say, I got it wrong and capitulate into stuff, which is often.
How did you get that? And you get a little break in the dollar?
Yeah. So lots of good energy in the market. This chart isn't even the most bullish one. All coins are already sending like mad. So not to be too drawn into the charts today, but this is more a representation of how I feel about the market right now. You guys put out a really nice community update on January 31st. Do you want to just take us through it high level? I mean, it's right here. People can read it, but maybe picking out some of the parts that you think are most significant, because mostly I want to talk about liquidity today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody has had a chance to read it. It's been out for over a couple of weeks now. I think some of the fun things just to kind of go through, like that Bonk or bust integration, just as a first step, that was really there as that was done like a couple of engineers that came up when the whole Bonk meme was starting to run
fast.
And they got that thing spun up in like 2 weeks, which was really cool. And it obviously is like a super 8-bit style app, like front end and real janky, but it was exactly what we wanted to see. We wanted to see a couple of engineers that wanted to capitalize on like the quick opportunity of seeing of getting kind of on this Bonk train. And I mean, that Bonk community really, 140,000 wallets on Bonk now.
That's insane.
Which is exciting to see. Yeah, and I've had a chance to talk to a couple of the main founders on it, and there might be something happening between Hxro and Bonk here soon, like at a much bigger scale. Nice. Maybe not for this show, but definitely in the works. And it was just, to me, what was really cool to see was that a couple of engineers could come to the network, grab the SDK, and spin something up in like 11 or 12 days, front to back.
And now I have Bonk in my wallet. I never really imagined myself going to buy some, but as a staker, I'm claiming the last.
I see it as like, yep. And I see that as like, it is the things that the Bonk community is doing, and then the things that we might quote unquote be doing with with projects like Hxro Network and Bonk. Like, it's gonna create a lot of. I look at that as like optionality. Like, will it ever get the Doge meme and like suddenly be trading, 50 cents? I mean, God bless if that happens. That would.
I couldn't even tell you that relative price, but I haven't looked at it too closely. But yeah, I mean, it's a dog coin. It seems like the dog coin over on Solana, and as the bridging structures and all that stuff starts to get even more hardened, which I think 100%. It's bound to happen through this quarter this year and next. This is going back to what I want to talk about later, but we're just going to see liquidity flow to where it is best deployed.
100%. And so that was really exciting to see. Obviously, like we launched the smart automated market maker on the pari-mutuel markets as well. So basically, that is a liquidity pool that the Treasury actually funded it day one, but it will be opened up relatively soon to other participants. And what you're going to get out of that then is you'll be able to stake into that pool. There will be it gets P&L plus it gets a share of all transaction fees. So as we know, like 50% of all transaction fees, the network get paid as staking rewards, but then the other 50% is getting broken up, and part of that other 50% is going to the SAMM pool. So there's that, and then I think in future iterations, and maybe some of the stuff that we're going to start to touch on the back end of the show, start to get more creative with what we can do with those SAMM LP tokens, and how to really start boosting and bringing a lot of this, a lot of the EVM style DeFi over into our community, and making stuff go from there. So that was cool to see that go. There obviously was a big boost in base pool sizes across all of pari-mutuels, and that was great. And then
and you can see that reflected, for those of you who don't know, on iconicmarkets.io. So we're right here. As you can see here, all the 5 minutes are up to 2,500 base per. That used to be like 500 to 1,000. So almost a 500% increase. And it's not the end of the line. You guys aren't here like waving your hands around like we made it. This is just the next stepping stone.
No, there are some big affiliate related deals that are coming in. And one that actually is a white label, that is actually going to white label Iconic Markets and will be plugged into the network as well. That has, I think they had somewhere the order of like 400,000 users. And the whole scope with all of this is really, again, it's just volume. It's aggregating volume at the protocol layer. So regardless of the application that's getting used, it's getting the benefit of the compounded liquidity of all these different applications. So Iconic itself will benefit from the fact that you have this white label that comes in now and builds a similar application of the network, and it's driving 400,000 plus DAUs into that. If we hit those numbers, it'll be
obscene
for everybody. But now you're seeing pools that, you're seeing $25,000 and $2,000 pools that are suddenly going to be, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 every 5 minutes, every minute. And then let's just do the math on the fees. Like the network is effectively getting 3% of every transaction fee that goes through that is of non-SAMM liquidity. So that it doesn't take much. Like you're saying, like a $10,000 pool on one $10,000 pool, one pool of $10,000 of non-SAMM liquidity is $300 of fees that's going to the network. And so imagine that
every minute.
Per
which
product.
Is what I like.
One product, 1,440 times 300, on one product.
Yeah.
So it's not going to take much to really start getting it moving, and that's what this base period right now is. It's why SAMM pools are way outweighing the size of the non-SAMM liquidity right now, but it is designed to be running. So eventually this is all going to start catching up, and we know that the liquidity is very reflexive, so it kind of compounds on itself. So that SAMM launching was a big deal. And then over on Dexterity, a couple of little cleanup items there. We're going to do the OpenHxro team has agreed to kind of do another pass and polish of the front end, which is there it is, a little janky feeling still, but it gets the job done. And really, I'm excited for them to really, and we're definitely going to help with this, really promote this ladder style trading, which we should definitely do a couple of their sessions on. But it is a much more simplistic and arguably a little bit more degen way of trading the market in perps and in futures. And obviously we have full futures curves for this stuff. And then what we'll be launching, so that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. And then what I'm hoping to have happen before March 15th or by March 15th is we launch the volume incentives program.
Let's talk volume incentives.
Yeah.
That's a big topic for today. And I don't know if it's on here. Let me find it. Yeah. Why don't you just hit us with it?
Yeah. So the basis of the volume incentives is that it's a daily volume tier incentive program that will start with, I think the original, if you go to the forum, you can see there was a proposal written up.
Oh, yeah.
It was initially proposed as 45 million, but I think it's going to end up being 40 million euro that will be committed to the program, that is paid out in a daily reward that it's either going to be paid by daily or by epoch. That still has yet to be determined. My preference is daily. Engineers is to do it by epoch.
Slow.
Yeah. And so what it does is it'll pay out Hxro as a reward, and it's based on 1,000 individual $1 billion notional volume epoch. So every $1 billion of notional volume of dexterity, it'll go to the next epoch. And simply the way it works is that you come to a dexterity, either you're an automated trader written to it, or you're trading through something like OpenHxro, and you do X amount of volume. Say you do $10 million of notional volume for the day, and let's say you did $10 million of notional volume. There's 100 million total volume for the day. You're going to get whatever amount of reward in that epoch is paid out based on the $100 million of total volume. You're going to get your pro rata share of it. So if it was paying out, the first epoch is to pay out 500,000 Hxro on $1 billion, and it was day one and $100 million was done, then it's going to be 10%. So 50,000 Hxro is going to get paid out, and you're going to get your pro rata share of it.
And so the idea here is really just about incentivizing like the back end liquidity providers. So they're not just getting fees, but they're also getting volume incentives. Like, help me break down the why of it.
Yeah, no, well, this is for everybody. This doesn't just go to like LPs. Okay. So if I'm just a regular trader that comes to the network and is like, I'm trading on Hxro Network, or I'm trading, like on something like OpenHxro, let's say, or I'm an automated trader that's plugged in through, directly to the protocol, and my volume then is getting aggregated in there. And
trader volume incentives. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, this is trader, not LP incentives.
No, I'm coming along, like explain like I'm five.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. So it's trader. So you're a trader, you come to the network, let's say you're trading, you're trading through OpenHxro, and you come and you trade $10 million of volume today. Well, on that day, your wallet is going to get its pro rata share of that. Nice. So there's, and really what it's designed to do is just really to get traders aligned. I mean, obviously the idea is you want, especially early on, to be earning as much of that Hxro as you can, and then staking it back to the network. And as you do that, and obviously we have the kind of the VE style boost mechanics in staking, and you max stake that, you get increase in stake weight, you start earning more fees. And if you're a trader that is earning or that is paying out fees in USDC, you want to basically get as much Hxro stake as you can in order to get as big a chunk of daily network fees back to you. And you as an individual may be paying X, but as the network fees grow, if those are big enough, you're likely going to get more back in overall fees than what you're paying out every day. And that's kind of like what we really want to see.
Which is pretty sick. I mean, it's the same. I don't know if it's the same, but like it's a similarity to something like, BNB was the first to do this centralized exchange. You hold their token, you essentially are buying it, and then you pay fees in it, you get less fees charged. I mean, it was a really cool model, and we've seen how it worked out.
I think
how does this differ from that?
Great question. And like, that's like on a 1-to-1, right? and meaning like it's and also they did more of like a buyback and burn, like so they were burning a portion of fees, but where you could get that tiered rebate kind of. The beauty of this is, and I think people miss this, is that in those types of setups, it's tiered and it's like on a one-to-one basis, strictly based on your volume. You're going to be trading into the network protocols, and the reward that you're receiving based on your share of stake here of stake weight across the network is for all network volume.
Yeah. So not just if you're
not just what you do,
OpenHxro, for example.
Not just what you do. So like you're getting the benefit of like a big trader that's doing $100 million a day of volume. Like you're actually pro rata sharing in 50% of every transaction fee that those guys do.
It's really, it goes beyond me. Like I benefit from the trading I do on Binance. I can't use Binance.
This is community capitalism 101. Yeah. Like I have been like, this is like everyone's like, what are you, fucking socialists? Like, no, I'm not. Like what I'm saying is that you as a participant in this network, you should benefit from what you do to the, with the network and for the network, but you should also benefit from everything. So
I get a cut of the whale's transactional volume. So what I was thinking is like, it's essentially like a ref link in the sense of like, you do a ref link for somebody, they come in, they trade a ton of volume, you get a piece. In this case, it's like everyone has everyone else's ref link. If you're a staker, you're getting a piece of all that action, but they're incentivized to be here as well because they're getting a piece of their own action on top of these volume incentives.
And they're getting a piece of everybody else's action.
Nice.
Exactly.
There it is.
So like, this is like next gen. This to me is like a very simple DeFi-esque mechanic that is just not plugged in heavily enough to other networks, and something that we're going to be leading with here. So the idea is we want to see a very wide dispersion of Hxro token ownership. We did all the rewards are paid as Hxro, so you don't get this like mercenary dump scenario. Which again, like if you own Hxro,
farm and dumps.
Yeah, no farm and dumps. Like you definitely can. You should farm and stake, and maybe some percentage of it you want to put on an unlock, and maybe you want to put that on an unlock because of like you want to start grabbing that and like putting it towards some of the other programs that are going to be existing in the ecosystem around like kind of incentive-based programs around staking that that we'll talk about a little today and then in coming shows.
The thing I love is that you pay out Hxro, and this is just me talking my strategy here, but I've been claiming and restaking because it's really early, and I think that it makes sense to grow that stake weight. But the thing that's nice here is you also pay out in USDC. And right now it's pretty small, and that's the nature of being small and starting out as a network. But as that grows, it may, in my mind, I'm looking to get to a point where I don't need to think about investing, staking my Hxro or selling. Is really just like staying in and getting that USDC reward up to a point where like that's my butter. Like,
and Colin, like when it gets to that point, and you have staked, like where will the valuation of the network should be pretty substantial, right? Which means that like it would make sense to maybe be like starting to unlock some of it.
Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna say I'm never selling, but it's this idea that I'm getting Bonk tokens, I'm getting USDC tokens, right? Those things make sense to sell.
And maybe never sell. Like you can do the Captain Rational and like stake for 99 years,
do the 4-year stake, because that's the whole point, and then extracting like the fees in the form of USDC.
Oh yeah.
Is there some other app in the future that's going to come in and their fees are paid in Solana, and now I'm stacking, maybe taking some Solana. The point is the Hxro, I see it as a way for me to just increase my stake weight, increase future yield. And so at least for now, I'm completely just rotating it back in. I'm trying to get my stake weight up, but
that is the play. Like this early phase, this like phase one of the whole thing is about getting your stake weight up, and then that stake weight, it's also going to work into when you start having community-based voting and things like that. Like that, you're going to start to have a lot of say what's going on in the network, and obviously that's a very important aspect of bringing this to like a state of full decentralization. So all that combined together, yeah, and the answer is yes. Like the different market product groups that are going to expand in dexterity are going well beyond just like USDC denominated stuff, and like also, which is something else that we can get to in a little bit, but that is just for dexterity. There's another program that's going to be it's going to be a little bit more basic for parimutuels that is not even proposed yet, but what's being talked about is like it would be 5 million Hxro for 100 million of volume, and so which would be specific to parimutuel markets, like to non-SAMM liquidity, and then
like Iconic, for example,
like if you were trading through Iconic, or if you were trading through Bonk or Bust, like all that volume, you would be participating in that parimutuel program. So that will come next, and then that's really it. So, like you said, I think strategically, and obviously everyone can make their own decisions. I think early on, the idea is like do all the things that you can do. It's like while you're staking now, while there's supplemental rewards, like you're doing all the things that you can to get Hxro into your own hands. Plus, like we want as a network to get it into the hands of many, and that is, and then once you have that staked, you're starting, like that's your gateway into the ecosystem, and there's nothing better than seeing that stake go up or receiving a reward and like getting your USDC rewards from it, things like that. Like
there's some craziness happening in VLOC town right now too. Aura and Lit, Timeless, both just exploding. I think that there's a lot more awareness now around the value of buying, staking, and then locking to receive bribes and whatever else. And that actually kind of segues into what I wanted to talk to you about next, which is liquidity strategies. We talked a little bit about before the show. The idea of like bringing in some of the things that are working on Ethereum, DeFi, that don't exist anywhere on Solana yet, that are a big part of like that back end liquidity, the big sloshing liquidity all over Ethereum. Buying gauge votes with bribes, things like that. Do you guys have any plans for that? Is that something? I know you talked about the grants, the incentives. There's some stuff being built right now. Do you want to touch on some of the more exciting ones?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of like going to like all the way to like bribe markets and stuff like that, I think that Solana as a whole, like its DeFi, its DeFi evolution isn't all the way to bribe markets, although I can see it happening pretty quickly. And like, I think it kind of has to follow the same path that that EVM all of EVM DeFi went through, which is like, you kind of had like, you had the whole AMM advent, and then you had you got into more like liquid staking, and then you got into bribes. And so like I think what the stuff that we're thinking about at this point is taking us into from like that first V1 into things like liquid staking, which will happen next, and then kind of building Hxro as like the curve to convex, and thinking about like the expansion of it, or as like Balancer and Aura, like those types of relationships. And then once you have those happening, and you have some teams that have built applications off of the network, and they're building they're really starting to accumulate a lot of Hxro and a lot of weight in the ecosystem, and it's moved very much to like community-based DAO governance, things like that. Then that's when like the bribe markets start to get interesting, right? In the Solana.
It's a good point. And I think for a lot of this to happen, we just need to get to a place where the bridging stuff gets easier. And I know Wormhole's been making a ton of developments. I used to not be able to figure it out. Now I have figured out it's still like 12 transactions as far as like approvals and different things. And then you get over there with a variation of USDC. I imagine the future where that's going to become a lot smoother, and other options will pop up, or this one will just get ironed out. And that's what, getting in and out quickly. And then even to a point where you could have automated strategies that are moving across the bridge to optimize yields. Like this is the sort of, I mean, it still feels, it's cliche to say these days, but it still feels really early in that sort of, Solana was living on an island, and there's a bridge being built right now.
Right now, right,
and soon it'll be a super highway. Right now, it's like a 2-lane, maybe even a shaky bridge, but like, we've got to get there, and then that's when you, like you said, the gauge rates, bribes, all that stuff becomes sensible, and
it's going to happen. Like I could see it happening. Like if we have good traction with this, and like just other Solana projects start to pick up on it, even if they don't, I don't really give a shit. But to be honest, but the what I do care about is that underbelly, that cross-chain underbelly. I think is going to be very important. And I mean, look, we still have like a considerable amount of Hxro that it lives in ERC20. Yeah. Like that's by design, right? Like there is a world out there where a bridge can be connected, and we can do things on Solana and capture all of the benefits of things that you cannot do in EVM world on Solana, and then be able to easily allow somebody who is like hardcore in the EVM world to come and participate on those, on the things that we have there. And I think this is gonna, I could see it literally by the end of this year of things really starting to happen along that path. And it's important to us that we're kind of at the forefront of it on the Solana side of it. And like you said, it's like EVMs have always been this like archipelago, and like Solana was kind of like Australia. Yeah. And like now we got to like figure out how to like connect the two.
We need to invent like airplanes, essentially, right?
We got to
airplane,
super rails. Yes.
Super highways.
Yeah, we need the boring project to come in and like push a big tunnel underneath the ocean. So so to what you're saying on the first step. So if you go back to the grants, you can see or the proposals. There was a proposal for a grant from a community engineer wants to build a concentrated liquidity pool. You go back to we should talk about that too. But there you go.
Grant. Yeah.
So basically, what this is there's an Orca vault on that is a Hxro USDC vault that exists, and what he wants to do is this engineer has a bunch of basically concentrated liquidity pool management bots that he runs, and wants to set up a new vault with the spot on top of it that basically allows the like whirlpools on Orca are like Uni V3 style, and this actually runs them a lot more like a market maker, where like to put it simply, the order management is not static. So it spreads out orders, and it moves around with the market and allows it to be a little bit more continuous, and also allows it to be a hell of a lot tighter than you would be if you didn't have to be static, which obviously is very good for takers and getting better price discovery and just like kind of everything that comes.
LPs seem to like it too. All I hear now is about your range. It's like, the price came into my range on Uni V3, and now I'm just printing as an LP. Like, I still have to wrap my head around all that stuff. I've been, always something that you got to learn new here, and I still don't fully get that.
Well, the whole play is also like to just like try to limit IL, and everyone's looking for like there's things that are popping up now. People are like all these option strategies and shit that are being. It's fun. It's fun stuff to look at and experiment. I like what this engineer is doing. It seems to make a lot of sense. And then the kind of the interesting part here is like, okay, so that's great. Where does like kind of the DeFi element come in? Which is something that we're going to add in here. So what would happen is that you would be able to go to this vault, and you would commit funds to it, start LPing in it, and then the fees that are collected by the vault, a percentage of those fees would be taken, and it would buy Hxro off the market, and then it would take that Hxro and it would basically max stake it. So the vault would become its own staker, and would have its own staking wallet, and then it would max stake to the network, where which is 3 years, obviously, and then it gets its base stake rate plus 300%, and the rewards that come off of that would then be additive to the LP pool, meaning that like the rewards that get paid now to LP holders in this vault are the majority percentage of the fees that come from just vault transactions, plus the staking rewards.
So essentially, like a boosted yield.
It's boosted yield using Hxro stake, and then and that
it also enhances Hxro stake. Like a lot of the fees on Hxro will come from that pool, be given to the stakers, which in turn are given to the LPs for that pool.
Correct, and they're going to go back and like.
I believe they call that a flywheel.
That is a flywheel. That is
Nice.
That's how these. In my mind, some of the biggest takeaways of DeFi, which are really just, it's really this exploration of flywheels, and some of them are created by people that have bad intentions, and they end up being full on like peas, and some of them
one little wrench in it, and it all falls apart, and you're like, oh wait,
but shaky. We and it's what's mostly kept us out of it, because it just, there's so many ways to do it with like.
There's a lot of moving parts, and when it's brand new, you're bound to find, and it's kind of cool. Like, being hacked, being drained, not cool, but it's cool. Like, it's interesting to watch the development of this stuff, and then somebody's in there trying to find a hole, and they need to, right? Because this stuff long term can't grow and last if there's holes. And so you see something like Curve, Curve smart contracts. Is it called the Lindy effect? What's the thing where
it's called the Lindy effect? Yeah,
it hasn't been hacked yet, therefore it probably can't be, because if it could have been, it would have been, kind of thing. And over time, you just grow that confidence. And I go back to like the way you guys use capital controls early, and I think we learned a lot from things like the wormhole hack. Like, if you just put too much something into something new with a ton of moving parts, you take a ton of risk, and it can be, and sadly, in a lot of cases, it's a project killer. So I, for one, appreciate with you guys are building a lot of stuff from scratch. It's not like, we copied the Uni V2, contracts, and now we just run them on PancakeSwap. Like, it's just not the same thing. And so you have to move slow. And I think what you're saying today is, with these grants, with the forums, which, by the way, everyone watching right now, you should go over these forums and share your thoughts, your comments. You never know which idea you will drop that will just change the thinking of, for example, this guy who's putting in this proposal. Like, get in there, make your voice heard, share ideas, because this is literally all being built around you right now. So if you're
it's being built for you, and like it's
built,
and the idea is that this will be handed off to the community, and like will be like run by a DAO and by councils, and just kind of the whole thing is going to be taking place over, in the not too distant future. And so it is really important that people get in there now. And so, the overall grant. So basically that's like the first phase. It's just like a light touch play, but it's something that is, needed in the ecosystem as a basis to start growing some token market liquidity, which obviously is very important. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple other things that are being added to it that we probably don't have time for on this show, but I want to get this first one out of the way, and then we can start talking.
Yeah, why don't you give us a hint? We can be on here each week, typically every other week, and we mix it up with DeltaFi. But like, hit us with a few things that are on your mind now that we can expand on.
I think a couple of things. So now you have daily incentives. You're going to have this these new vaults going in that will have actually stake to the network, and then have give you boosted APY, boosted rewards. And then the next thing that's happening kind of side by side with that, and also part of like this Q1 initiative, is creating these really simple and easy to use SDKs, and allowing engineers to come and host GUIs on the platform, to the protocol. And then in those GUIs, there's also going to be, we're building in some like staking delegation concepts where now you could, and I'll explain why we're doing this, but like a builder can launch a DEX and then also have people stake Hxro through it. And then part of the whole setup is they can then share some of those DEX fees to the people that have staked into through their delegator, and then boost yields that way. And then also from that, they can go take that Hxro and lock it up, because we have those VE style mechanics, and then issue a liquid staking token, which then they can go get creative with. And so,
which opens up a whole new world of things somebody could build, like what to do with that.
Correct. And
token, essentially.
Correct. And then find ways to create more yield with it, and just kind of do all the things that. So all of that
is like a jungle emerging here. I mean, the tools that could be used then to create God knows what. I mean, finding more devs, and I like seeing the forum, pick up some steam here at the start of 2023 with guys coming in saying like, "Hey, I want to build this, incentivize me," and there is money there to use for that. We've talked an awful lot today about this, liquidity incentives, volume incentives, all these things, the grants. What is something like the classic, like when do you think we can expect to start seeing some like hands-on opportunities here for users?
Yeah, so I really want to see those LP vaults be live inside of 4 weeks. So I want to put, and don't hold me to this, but like somewhere around March 15th. And let me put it this way, you'll see it because there'll be a lot more like kind of discussion and hype around it a couple weeks ahead of time. And so both like daily incentives and that the LP vaults, like those should kind of come live roughly around the same time, and like kind of need the vaults there too. Need the LP vaults there ahead of time, because obviously we want to build up token market liquidity for those people that are going to choose to claim Hxro as opposed to staking. You want to have good fair market for them there too. So so that, and then the one thing that's on here that we didn't mention was just the overall grants proposal. There is a grant system that's being put in place where it's kind of like 3-tiered. I think people should just go read about it in the go back to the proposals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's HXIPO 3.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So this program basically it's set up to give like very small grants for almost like bounty level things, like almost like quests in the ecosystem, and then like mid-sized grants for things that require more development work. Like it's even for like non-devs. Like there'll be non-dev quests in there that can earn bounties like through like these kind of de minimis and not small. Like it can be $100, $200 grants, and then for obviously larger grants that like require board approval for like bigger things in the ecosystem and bigger asks that that things that need to be built. And the whole idea here is just to really rally the community and get it active in this community capitalism kind of way. And then off of this is, and this can kind of segue into the last thing I think we can talk about today is like we've been talking a lot about the whole GAA NFT thing that's coming in, and and we went down this path of exploring like how do you kind of give, how do you really activate the NFT communities in DeFi, and there is like some offshoot stuff related to this, like similar to the grants program that is getting implemented along with a couple other partners who are building some of the backend infrastructure, and some very big. It's not going to be just Degen Apes. There's going to be a couple more like very, very large Solana-based community projects that are not only from the NFT side, but from more from the meme side as well, that are going to be involved in it. That are, the idea, and a lot of like what I just mentioned about like the GUI hosting and delegated staking, all of that is going to become a part of this. So there's a lot of big, interesting things that are transpiring around here. And like, I know like in our Discord and stuff, like we don't talk about it, and we don't talk about it like too loud yet, because we want the development to get a little closer to launch. And obviously things, like things change. And so, but
build first, announce later. Much
it's like build first
personally.
and then like, and then talk and amp and amplify it, and then put it out and launch it. And I think
you also want something for people to touch, right? Like I want to put my hands on something, and people announcing that, like, you get a lot of excitement, and then it's like when, and then when the when time comes, that excitement has maybe subsided or moved on. So I love that approach.
Yeah, it's really timing it. It's tricky to do, right? Like we got to time it and get people really jammed on it and excited. Mm-hmm. And then and then that's really like all of that stuff should really take us into like Q2 of this year. And then when we start getting into Q3, like hopefully the play is just like fucking scaling like motherfuckers. And and at that point too, I want to start moving into more like, we're going to start exploring more like DAO structure and like creating some sub DAOs and councils and getting community way more active in these various kind of components of the network. By then we'll have these like tools in there. The flywheel should be moving. There's a couple, there's two more things on top of the basic DeFi, like the CLP vault that we were talking about, some stuff around lending, borrow lend that we're doing, some other things that are in the pipeline that aren't being like attacked yet, just for priority reasons, but there are things that are in the roadmap.
Damn. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. I feel like there's a ton we could unpack over the course of the next 2 months on the Hxro Network. On the Network Effect here. So on YouTube, guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, let us know you love us in the comments, and drop by the Hxro Network forums here. Let your voice be heard. There is going to be ideas dropped in here that are put into action. I can almost guarantee it. So
and also, I want you to you guys should be submitting your own ideas too. Like, there's a lot to.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like I'm just my head, like at the wheels turning today, and just and I think it is designed to just grow on itself, right? Like liquidity increases, bridges open up. There's more people with more stake in the network, and therefore more participation in this stuff. And that's all just kind of snowballing right now. So look, guys, thank you for joining us today. We're going to wrap here. And if you have any questions, hit us up on Discord, the Hxro Labs Discord. Link is below in the description. And other than that, I will see you all tomorrow for a solo stream. And I think we're going to get a DeltaFi going here pretty soon. Right?
Let's do it, man. I'm ready. This is a perfect time. And
we just need, you, me, Robbie, some charts. I'm still going to bug Messi to see if we can get him to come back, but he is a max, dad maxi right now. He's the
total dad maxi right now.
As a parent, which I can't hate on. I am too, by the way. I just, I like to take my breaks and go on stream. So anyhow.
He went really hard. He went really hard, right? I mean, he went hard for
He does. He goes
went full
hard.
Yeah.
No, he does. So we'll see if we can get him back. I think if Bitcoin is 42K, I'm sure we can get him back.
He'll be back.
He'll just be like, guys, let me have him. Banana suits coming in. So, anyways, stay tuned, guys. Whatever you do from now until then, always play.
Thanks, guys.